Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It is Tuesday, August 5th, 7 o'clock at night, and this is our video covering the daily trades and holdings for Ulti, YieldMax's Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, and LFGY, YieldMax's Crypto Industry and Tech Portfolio Option Income Fund. As always, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1. I post letting you know when videos are coming out. If you like to catch the premiere and be in the live chat, I'll let you know about trades and distribution announcements, and also send out my thank you. So someone that chose to remain anonymous on Buy Me a Coffee. There's a link here, and there's also a link in the description of videos. But they chose to become a monthly supporter. So I didn't even know that I had that option available, but I don't know who to thank, but you know who you are. So thank you very much for your kind donation there. I appreciate it. All right, markets today were fairly red when we're looking at our funds. You saw the thumbnail. There was more red than green in both Ulti and LFGY. Ulti managed to do pretty well, only went down a penny with having more than half of their stocks in the negative. LFGY was down a little bit more than that. We'll get more in depth when we go through our charts. This is just kind of giving you a visual. Let's see, LFGY was down about 51 cents on the day, but recouped about 15 cents so far in the after hours. But after the market's closed, we have to wait some time. It's okay. It takes a while for me to update spreadsheets, and then we go down. You can go. YieldMax is nice. Other funds are not like this. As far as other companies, I have to go and download each individual thing. But YieldMax, when you click on that intraday trades, they give you the trades for everything they have. So very convenient. Holdings, you still have to go in and download individually. But so Ulti had I forget, about 51 trades. Yep. And then LFGY was something like 35 or 36. So hopefully we can make this a little bit shorter video. We go to our spreadsheets. We start with Ulti first. Seems to be everybody's favorite. And off the bat, they put some money to work buying, 600,000 shares more of AST Space Mobile and 400,000 more shares of New Scale Power. $31 and $18 million getting put to work. We don't count that debit or money out as a loss. That's not a trading loss. That's just putting money to work, and buying something that we can start below is what we count towards our trading profit and loss. So for starters, AppLovin, closing out their 400s, getting smoked, having to pay over $30 a share, selling 430s, and adjusting the puts as well. $3.1 million debit or loss on the roll. But you will see generally, if the stock goes up well beyond our strikes, our increase in value outweighs our loss on the trading. ASTS, this is just, we just talked about it. We bought new shares, so we're going to sell more calls to generate income, buy more puts to protect those shares. $408,000 collected. Bitmine Immersion, all we did was adjusted our call, closed out the 37, brought it down to a 34, bringing it closer to the money, collecting $197,000, left the puts alone. Coinbase, same thing, just adjusting a call down from 335 to 315, collecting $374,000. Galaxy Power, on a couple of them, closing out our 31s and 32s, bringing them down to 29s each. Lots of contracts there, $31,000 and $6,800, $923,000 collected. Mara Holdings, closing out our 1750s, adjusting them down to 1650s. So far, all of the trades are still for this coming Friday. $391,000 collected there. Nebius Group, here's another one that went beyond our sold strike, so had to close out those 5450s and move them up to 59s. At the same time, we moved our put up from a 47 to a 50. That cost us $872,000. Oklo, same thing. Went through our strike, closing out those 75, selling 88, still within the same week, adjusting our puts up as well by $12. That's nice. $5.4 million loss on that. Palantir, again, they just keep going up. Closed out our 162.50s and our 165s, selling 177.50s and 180s, still staying within the same week, bringing up our puts as well, so we're protecting that new high. I wouldn't say high, but our new increased share price. $5.1 million loss on that. Reddit, spending $3.7 million to close out these 195s and sell them at 215, adjusting the puts as well. Rigetti closing out the 15s, moving them up to 1750s. Everything still staying within the same week, bringing the puts up with it. $1.7 million spent. SMCI, all we did was adjusted our puts. So we sold our 44s and 45s and bought 52s. So we just locked in a higher price that in the event that the stock comes back down, the underlying, and that cost us $1 million to lock that in. SMR, New Scale Power. This was, sorry, I'm having trouble here. This is the other one that we bought new shares of. So we sold calls and bought puts to do that collar strategy. Collected $232,000. Upstart, similar to SMCI, we just adjusted our puts, sold our 69s and bought 72s. That cost us $1 million. And Vertiv Holdings, we bought to close the 148s that we had sold, and we sold closer to the money at 144, collecting $80,000. So everything is still for this week. No changes on that. All in all, that cost us $19.7 million on the trading day. So we had a handful that went against us, cost a lot of money. As you can see, $18 million increase in value is going to go with that. And we will kind of bounce back and forth to look to show the increase in value from the fund compared to the loss in trading on it, if I remember. If you don't know what all these colors are, I do make a video. It's titled "Start Here: Everything You Need to Know to Watch ETF Inspector Videos." It'll explain what the orange is, what the green, the yellow, the red. So that way I don't have to explain it every video, and people who've been watching all my videos don't get bored hearing it every time. All right, like I said, Ulti trades a collar strategy. So they buy the shares, they sell calls to generate income, they buy puts to protect those shares. That's what is the reason why Ulti has stabilized. So you see, Ulti had a pretty ugly pass. None of us would have wanted to touch it with a 10-foot pole. But then you notice all of a sudden it stabilizes. And so now they've just been paying consistent dividends and stop the bleeding by making changes. And now we love it. Not telling you should buy it. Do your own research, make your own decisions. Not a financial advisor and not financial advice, obviously. But they've made these changes. They protect it now. And we make out well. Now, obviously, the market's done well for the most part. But even in times when it didn't, Ulti makes out better than the overall market. So Applied Optoelectronics was down 3.5% today. They did not adjust any of their options. They've got 23s, 25s, 26s, and 27s sold all for this Friday, anywhere from 7 to 26% out of the money. AppLovin was down 4.32%. We did see where they went ahead and closed and rolled some of these positions. So something's confusing here. why would it cost so much money to close out a $400 call when the stock's at $377? Why would it cost $30 when it was out of the money? And then why would they? I feel like I'm losing it here. Unless they possibly closed it out in the morning early on when it looked like it was taken off, and so there was a lot of premium. I don't know. That's odd to cost so much money to close out something that's nice and far out of the money. So that one doesn't make sense. That one hurts us. Decreased in value 7 million and lost, I think it said 3 million. This is the first time we've seen something like that, if anybody's been paying attention. So it could be something with earnings coming up, and maybe that's why there's still so much premium. I don't know. I'll get back to you. AST Space Mobile up 2.3%. They've got 5350s, 56s, and 5650s sold for this week. They are 1.7, 6.5, and 7.5% out of the money. Bitmine Emerging Technology up 6.7%. They went ahead and took the win on these 37s. That's why there's orange there. They got rolled out. They've got 3350s and 3550s still for sale this week, or sold this week. 0.8 and 6.8% out of the money. They also have some 35s and 39s sold for next week. They're 5.3 and 17.4% out of the money. Webull was up 3.85%. Their options are still 1 and about 4.5% out of the money at 15 and 15.50. Coinbase Global, the big loser in this fund today, down 6.34%, under 300. They took the win, closed out these 335s and rolled them closer to collect more premium, still within the same week. They also have 330s that are 10.7% out of the money, still in play. Galaxy Digital down 4.19%. 29s are 4.7% out of the money. They went ahead and closed out and rolled their 31s and 32s. Robinhood Markets down 0.86%. They're still in the money with these 104s, but it's a good thing they didn't close them out yesterday because they went down some and another day decayed away time value. So good job so far on not closing them. 1.38% in the money. And then 108s and 110s are 2.4 and 4.3% out of the money. IonQ had a big day, up 5.5%. That took their $40.50 calls into the money by 3.6%. They still have 4350s, 4450s, and 45s all sold for this week. 3.4, 5.8, and 7% out of the money. They are going to remain pricey because earnings are this week. But that increased by over $8 million, the value of the fund. Mara Holdings down 2.6%. They took the win on the 1750s, closing them out and rolling them to a closer strike. They still have 1650s that are 5.6% out of the money. MicroStrategy down a little over 3.5%. Brings these 390s to 3.8% out of the money. The majority of the contracts there, and the rest at 395 are 5.2% out of the money. Nebius Group up 1.85%. They chose to roll the 5450s that were in the money. They still have 5550s, 57s, and 59s in play for this week. 0.6, 3.3, and 6.9% out of the money. Oklo's the big winner over here, up over 10%. So let's see, that increased the value by 11.5 million. And how much did it hurt us? 5.4 million. So twice as much increase in value, more than twice as much compared to the loss, but there could be more loss to go as far as closing these out. So we'll find out. These will have a much higher closing price today. This is previous close. This is yesterday's close. The holdings don't come out till the next morning. So there's definitely going to cost some money to close them out. But they left the 79s and 81s in play. They're 6.3 and 3.9, call it 4% in the money. Get these questions a lot: in the money, out of the money. So that these are all options terms. We are selling calls. As long as they stay out of the money, they end up being about worthless. And so the thing that we sold and collected the money up front doesn't cost us hardly anything to buy back and close out at the end. So we would like them to stay out of the money. When they go in the money, now they are becoming more and more valuable. So when we go to buy them back, we're going to spend more than we received back when we sold them. That's why we have negative 6,000 shares. We sold something, we got to buy it back to get back to even. Down here, these aren't negative, but that's because we've purchased these options. We purchased these puts. These are protecting our shares. And we do get to sell them at the end. Since we bought them, we get to sell them at the end to close and get back to zero. Palantir Technologies up 7.85%, so another big increase, over 8.5 million. They chose to roll their 162.50s and their 165s. They still have 170s in play that are 1.89% in the money. Next, we have Qualcomm. We don't own any shares, so there's not a good divider here. But I believe they were down on the day. They were 146.71. Unfortunately, the change percentage doesn't really work because we don't have the previous close, because we don't have shares of it. So it doesn't show up in the holdings. We've got an odd strategy here. We've purchased calls at 145, sold calls at 150, and then purchased calls at 155. Not really sure how we want to handle that, so I color them in blue instead. So right now, it's looking good. The 145s are increasing in value. The 150s will still end up worthless, so the money we collected we will get to keep, and then the 155s will also end up worthless. So that's an odd one. We also have a put spread on it. Sold 145s, bought 140s. So the sold 145s are still 1.1% out of the money. So it's kind of sitting perfect for us. It is nuts that we bought calls at 145 and sold puts. I don't know. It's an odd strategy on Qualcomm. Reddit down 1.36%, under 200. That actually helped us with closing and rolling these 195s. They were in the money. We were obviously further in the money yesterday, so another day went by and it went down. Now we've rolled them. Still within the same week, and we still have 210s in play that are 5.5% out of the money. Rigetti Computing up 4.5%. So we are struggling with these. Lots of them are in the money. The ones deepest in the money, the 15s, got closed and rolled. There's still 1550s, 16s, and 1650s in play for this week. 5.8, 2.8% in the money, and then 0.18% out of the money. Let's see. So $7.2 million increase to go with a $1.7 million loss. So again, they don't mind if the stock runs up beyond their calls, beyond their sold calls. People don't understand that. People are like, Ulti keeps losing their trades. They want to lose the trades, really. They don't think like you and I do. They are able to quickly close these out and roll to a different strike, which allows them to continue collecting the increased value. They're not stuck, and the value increase on the shares will always be greater than the expense to close out the trades. So end of the day, it still makes the fund more money. Rigetti has one more position here. They've got 16 sold for the following week. They're also 2.8% in the money. SMCI down 1.67%. They didn't touch any of their sold options, but they did adjust their puts to bring them up closer to the money, locking in a higher price. In the meantime, it's a good thing they didn't close out these 55s yesterday, because they dropped today and had another day of time decay. So it made them cheaper when they do go to close them out. they've purchased some 160s or some 60s. They're currently 4.7% out of the money. So we would want it to go above 60 to make those valuable. And then they've sold 63s and 67s and 70s. They're 10 through 22% out of the money. New scale power up over 4%. 46s, 4750s, and 50s all sold for this week. 1.9, 5.2, and 10.7% out of the money. Snap was down 0.8% on the day. I believe they announced earnings afterwards, and it got worse. Yeah, down 15% after hours. So we're going to see some ugliness tomorrow. When things make big moves outside the market, that's what hurts us more because they don't have the ability to close and work with the options when the market's closed. But for now, these are 6.5% and 11.8% out of the money. Tomorrow morning when they open up, they're going to be way out of the money. Tempest AI, up 0.38%. They have 62 sold for Friday. They're 7.3% out of the money. Upstart down 0.25%. 86s, 88s, and 90s sold for Friday. 6.5 and 8.9% out of the money. 2 times VIX fund, UVIX, was up 1.8% today. By far our smallest holding, 0.6% of our money's in there. 13% and 20.8% out of the money. And that's a different strategy, right? They sell their calls, they buy their puts, so there's your collar, but then they also sold puts, so making a little extra money. Surprised they're not closing. They didn't close those out when they're only going to cost 5 cents, but we'll see. Vertiv Holdings down 1%. They took the win on their 148s and rolled them closer to the money to collect more premium, and they still have 145s that are about 4.5% out of the money. And finally, Vistra Corp down 2.12%. That brought these 210s back out of the money by 0.2%. They have 217.50s and 222.50s also in play, 3.8 and 6.1% out of the money. So all of that combines increases and decreases for a total increase of $18.7 million in value. Here you go. Almost 31 million new shares purchased yesterday, bringing our outstanding shares up to 470 million. Not sure why people got cold feet and only bought like 9 million, I think, shares on Friday when the stock dropped under 6. But then as soon as it started coming back, this would be as of from yesterday. Yesterday, people started buying right back into the fund again. So we're at 2.8 billion. We're probably going to hit 3 billion before the end of the week. So Ulti at 611 at the close. All right, next is LFGY. We get through it quicker. I say this every time. You're probably tired of hearing it. But less shares, less trades, less to talk about. So they didn't buy or sell any underlying stocks. But then they just start making all kinds of partial trades, not selling the whole position or not buying the whole position. So I really don't go into it. We're talking trades as low as $42. But when we do have a complete closeout or roll, I highlight that. First one that takes place is on Circle Internet Group, closing out their 192.50s and the calls that went with them. So they do not do the collar strategy with selling calls and buying puts. They sell calls, and then a lot of times they will buy a call further out of the money just to protect or limit how much they'd have to spend in the event the stock ran through their strike price. They do not have downside protection in LFGY, just as almost pretty much all the other YieldMax funds. Ulti seems to be the only one that's got the downside protection. I haven't looked at every single fund, so there could be others, but from what I see. So they rolled down to 175, stayed within the same week, collected $37,000. More little miniature trades. And Mara Holdings closed out their 1850s and dropped them down to 1650 for next week. So they rolled down and out, collecting $109,000. They went ahead and sold some more too. So along with the roll. And then that's it as far as full-on closeouts and rolls. So all in all, it was a positive $164,000 collected or credited based on options trading today. That brings our trading for the week back out of the negative after we had a small decrease yesterday. And we're down in value, as you would expect, with more than half of the underlyings being in the red. 3.1 million. We'll see how that happened. Bitmine Immersion, the big winner over here, up 6.7%. Their $50 calls sold for August 15th are 50% out of the money. BitDeer down 1.8%. 1350s are almost 6% out of the money, and 1450s are 13.8% out of the money. CleanSpark up almost 2%. We got to keep all of that. So anytime we go up any percentage and we do not go into the money, then 100% of that increase we get to keep it. We don't have to, and it's not keep as in like money coming in, but we're not capped. Okay, we're uncapped, uncovered. So 6% and 15% out of the money on these 1150s and 1250s expiring Friday. Coinbase Global had a rough day, fighting for biggest loser, but didn't get it. 13.26% out of the money on these 337.50s expiring Friday. That dropped our value by almost $1 million. We don't get as huge a swings here because we're talking about a $180 million fund compared to a $2.8 billion fund in Ulti. Core Scientific up 3.15%. We were already in the money and went further. These 1350s are now 4.12% in the money, but no action was taken. Circle Internet Group, the big loser, down 6.6%. They took the win, closed these out, and rolled them. Call it a win, right? It's the win in the options trade, but it's a drop in value. So we always would prefer the stocks to go up. I'll caveat that most of the time. I'll explain in a minute on one where we don't. iShares, Ethereum Trust, ETHA, down 2.63%. Their 28s are 3.63% out of the money. Less than $500,000 sitting, not being put to use, so we like that. Galaxy Digital, down 4.19%. So these 29s were pretty close to the money. We now got some breathing room. 4.7% out of the money. 30s are 8.3% out of the money. GameStop up 0.82%, and that's about how much they've got left before they hit that $23 strike, or 18 cents. They're 18 cents away from being in the money. Robinhood Markets down 0.86%. They've got 115s. That's pretty much all that's important. They've got 117s, but there's 20 times as many at 115, and they are 9 and almost 11% out of the money. I didn't do a good job reviewing because that color shouldn't be red. It should be yellow. Hut 8 Corp down 4.3%. That brought them from being in the money to out of the money on these 21s, 3.6%. IBIT, we do not trade options on them, so we just have the shares. They were down 1%. That decreased our value by $190,000. Mara Holdings down 2.62%. They took closed these 1850s out and rolled them. They still have 1750s in play. They are 12% out of the money. MBTX. So here's why I stopped myself on that comment about we don't want the stocks to go down. MBTX, it is a fund, it's not a stock, but we don't own any shares. So increases and decreases do not change our overall value of the fund based on that. All we have are our options. So we have two spreads. The first is a credit call spread where we sold the 295 and bought the 320. So as long as the stock stays under 295, these will end up ending worthless, and we will get to keep the premium that we collected selling them. So down would be good for that. It's currently 9.7% out of the money. They also purchased a put spread. So it's a debit put spread out till the end of the year. I should say the last one was out till next Friday, not this Friday. The put spread's out till the end of the year, where they purchased the 230 and sold the 150. So that means the more it goes down, if it quickly approaches 230 or if it runs beyond 230, these will become more valuable. So MBTX, if it tanks, we make out best. Everything else we want to go up. Okay, Mercado Libre up 0.5% today. These 2500s are still 3.8% out of the money. MicroStrategy down 3.5% today. 395s and 400s are 5.2 and 6.5% out of the money. Slipping again. These should be green because they're greater than 5%. NU Holdings up 1%. 13s for next Friday, not this Friday, are still 7% out of the money. NVIDIA down almost 1%. 182.50s are the call strike price. They are 2.3% out of the money. Opera Limited down 0.37%. Again, these are sold out not this Friday, but next Friday. 17.50 and 20, vast majority at 20, 8.2 and 23.6% out of the money. PayPal Holdings down a little over 0.25%. 70s for this Friday are 3.2% out of the money. Riot Platforms down a little over 2.5%. 12s for this week are 7.8% out of the money. And finally, Block XYZ down just over 1%. 10% out of the money on these 83s expiring Friday. So all of those increases and decreases are what led to our $3.1 million decrease in value. LFGY closed. Let's see if it updated. Yep, 3606. Net assets or assets under management, 185 million. That doesn't include today's decrease in value, increase in trading, or increase or decrease in outstanding shares. So when we download the holdings tomorrow, we will find out that change and get the new updated AUM. The NAV, that makes sense, right? So the NAV was 36.34 before today started, and then it dropped around 1%. So I think that's what we said. So it makes sense for it to be down in the low 36s. Seems like we're still actually paying a premium. But okay, so other than that, you guys like a little recap at the end? So Ulti, trading wise, lost 19.7 million, but share value increased by 18.7. I did get the question of, did they make back from the big drop on Friday? The answer is yes. They dropped $92 million in value on Friday, and between Monday and Tuesday, they are up over 100 million. So over 105 million, 106. So everything has come back share value wise. And currently on the week, we are in the negative by about 5.5 million. LFGY, where'd it go? Made 164,000, bringing their trading into the positive for the week. Decreased in value by 3 million. Still positive for the week after yesterday's nearly $6 million increase. LFGY has not fully recovered from Friday's down day as yet. Not even fully, not even close. So, and that's why Ulti is still sitting right around that trading range we're used to, and LFGY is a couple dollars below what we're used to. Tomorrow morning we'll get our announcement. So if you follow YieldMax, you'll get it. If you get the email, you'll get it. If you don't do either of those and you follow me on X, then I'll repost it. Generally try to get it out the second it comes out. There's been times I've been the first repost. Proud of myself. But other than that, I got a dad joke of the day for you, and then let you guys move on to other things. So before I do, thank you very much for watching. All the likes, comments, shares, feedback. Sometimes people you know, if people are being rude and nasty in the comments, it's one thing. I've rarely had that, almost at all, maybe one or two times. Other times, people start giving me feedback or criticism, and other people defend me or get mad at them. Don't get mad at them. I ask for feedback. I want to get better. It's not doesn't mean I'm going to make every change people say, because two people might say opposite things. So I'm going to see if it makes sense. But I appreciate it. I love talking to you guys in the comments and the chat. So, but thank you, and always looking to improve. So, all right, dad joke of the day. My son's 4th birthday was today. When he came to see me, I didn't recognize him at first. I had never seen him before. All right. Have a good night. Good luck trading tomorrow, and I'll see you in the next video.